guys that aren't in the NFL, a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, who literally got his contract bought out.
Yeah.
What was it, Texas Tech, I believe?
Yeah.
Got his contract bought out.
Yeah.
The Cardinals fired, I can't even remember who it was off the top of my head, and they brought in Cliff Kingsbury and gave him a fat contract. He never even coached as a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
And we don't see blacks and minorities given those kinds of opportunities to just come in and take over a franchise like that.
Yeah.
And that is an issue.
Yeah.
And I want to say something about something you had kind of hit on earlier about how diminishing and defeating it can feel that he knows. Well, how about this? He thought he had a legitimate chance to land his job, and the message says, as I quote from Brian Flores, "Did you hear something I didn't hear? I interview on Thursday. I think I have a shot at it." When deep down, the New York Giants, who've never had a black head coach in their entire franchise's history, already were going to hire Brian Dable no matter how great Brian Flores did in an interview. And he was there just to check off a box for the Rooney Rule. That was it, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And that is demoralizing to anybody to know that they are there just for the color of their skin. Mm-hmm. And I also want to say is that I know that we're a couple minutes in talking about this Brian Flores situation, and we are two young men of color, of skin. We're both minorities in this society. We see and feel and hear a lot of situations in which are talked about, and I know these situations aren't fun to talk about. Racism and discrimination is not fun to talk about, but you have to be, especially in today's society, in our generation, be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Talking about things that you don't want to talk about, and being open-minded to others' experiences, because this is something I've most certainly dealt with in my life through family, through my personal interactions in society. I'm sure you've dealt with some kinds of issues, and people that want to deny it, it's literally right in front of your face 24/7, but also you see it at the national level with a well-respected league in the NFL, which was one of the biggest markets in America. And there's still ongoing issues about this to this day. In 2019, they implemented the Rooney Rule, which we'll get into in just a second. Or, excuse me, 2003, but it's been 19 years, since that rule's been intact. There was 3 black head coaches in the NFL in 2003. There is one. There is a regression. There has been, I think, there was 8 head coaching opportunities this offseason, and only, I think, 4 or 5 of them have been filled. Not a single one has been African-American as of yet. We have 2 minority owners in the NFL, and Jacksonville has one of them. The Buffalo Bills have another, and an Asian-American woman. There is an underlying issue with this. And I want to get on to Stephen Ross now when we transition into this Brian Flores, the owner for the Miami Dolphins. Technically, everything is word of mouth right now from Brian Flores and Stephen Ross, who I don't think has released a statement yet to my knowledge. He was incentivizing that in 2019, when Brian Flores first took over this team after coming over from the New England Patriots, being Bill Belichick's assistant, I will give you $100,000 for every loss you get so that they can acquire a better draft pick. At the time, this was one of the worst teams in the NFL. This was going to be one of the worst teams in NFL history. But that locker room and those players stuck with Brian Flores because he's a man of character and dignity. And he's not going to diminish his character and his value and his career for $100,000 every week to please a guy like Stephen Ross because he wants to get a better draft pick. They finished off the season 5-11. They beat Tom Brady the last week of the season in Foxborough, and they upset them so that they can't get a first-round bye. They go lose to the Tennessee Titans the first game in the playoffs. That locker room stuck with Brian Flores. Brian Flores is a damn good man, character, and coach. And then he got them to 10 wins the following season. They went and got 9 wins the following season this year. He is a damn good coach. That's the first time the Miami Dolphins organization has had 2 back-to-back winning seasons, I think I want to say 11 or 18 years. I can't remember the number. It's been a very long time. And he gets fired. That is not happening to a white coach. He came in and changed a culture and a franchise. And we were just as shocked on our very first podcast episode when he got fired. We went off on that. And now with this, Stephen Ross is trying to get him to tank. And that is an underlying issue with the NFL. Guys aren't putting their bodies, coaches aren't putting their careers on the line to go and lose games. You are diminishing the integrity of competitive football. And that's where I'm at with it. If that's true, which I don't discredit Brian Flores, I believe him, and I believe Stephen Ross would do something like that. he needs to go. He shouldn't own an NFL team anymore, and he should be gone.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with that. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
That's a little tough, right? And you said a lot of great things, and I believe you 100%. And I everything you said was correct.
Thank you.
But taken from a fan's perspective and how to change the organization, tanking is not like isn't unheard of, right? We all know a lot of teams tank. Our team tanked.
Yes,
you know
to get Trevor Lawrence.
The Bengals tanked, right? It was a tanking race. I mean, we remember the Dolphins trading away valuable guys like Minka,
Laramie Tunsil.
Who else traded away?
Receiver, I think Fuller at the time. Or no,
it wasn't Will Fuller. It was regardless of the fact they traded away some young pieces to get first round picks.
Correct.
And other draft picks because we knew that they were gearing up for the tanking. Everybody knew the Dolphins were tanking, right?
Yep.
So yes, they did win along the way because at the same time in the locker room, you don't want to build a losing culture.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard to break a losing culture. And I'm pretty sure Brian Flores was like, okay, well shit, like, you know, you guys want Joe Burrow, but there's other quarterbacks out there, right? Yeah. Justin Herbert was on the board, right?
Yep.
You still drafted Tua over him. You drafted a quarterback that Brian Flores never wanted.
I was about to say Brian wanted Justin.
Yeah, and for regards to the fact that we didn't know Justin Herbert would be this good.
Nobody did.
F that, right? Because if you follow college football, you would knew that he was one of the best quarterbacks to come out in that class, right? And even if he wasn't that good, you knew you would rather take a healthy Justin Herbert than a banged up, damaged Tua because he just came off a hip surgery.
Yeah.
So he knew Tua would not be playing at all. So first of all, in just the grand scheme of things, it was a dumb draft pick. All right, you tanked for the wrong quarterback. And essentially, whatever you had a chance to redeem yourself, and even if you were paying him,
but that's on Greer. That's on the general manager. That's not on Brian Flores.
Yeah, it's not on Brian Flores. Yeah, it's not. It's on the owner. It's on the owner, the GM, whatever. Even if you were paying Brian Flores to lose and stuff like that, okay, that's understandable. And the coaches are teams out there to tank, but he had an opportunity to draft the quarterback. You know what I'm saying, behind Burrow, which was Justin Herbert. He was healthy and great. You know what I'm saying? Condition. He had a good enough tape to go out there to be, you know, he would have been the guy. He would have been probably the quarterback 2 off the board the previous year when Kyler Murray came out, because we all know damn well he would have been better than he was a better prospect than Daniel Jones and Haskins and whoever else got drafted that year, but Drew Lock too. But I mean, I don't get that, and I think Stephen Ross should definitely be. I wouldn't say he should be fired for that, but like you really gotta look at him as an owner. Like, okay, yeah, we might not fire you for this, but we gotta fire you for your actions because you did terrible at scouting. You and the GM, like, what were y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
so let's just assume for a second, because I believe Brian Flores about the whole $100,000.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it happens. It happens.
Let's also question him on the fact that why did you fire Brian in the first place? Because you said that there were problems with the front office and Brian Flores was having disagreements because he didn't get his quarterback, but also there was just probably other, underlying issues that were going on between management and Brian Flores. But nonetheless, he changed your team around. Yeah. Even though you wanted to lose, you got to look at a guy and an owner who is damaging the integrity of competitive football. What player, especially Xavier Howard, the way he came out last year and posted that statement, what top player, as great as the luxury of living in Miami is and playing in Florida in the no state income tax, who wants to play for a guy like that with all of this coming out? That is damaging to the sport of football. If this is true and they find evidence on this, he needs to go in my eyes.
For sure. I mean, like, if
it's true. Only if it's true.
Yeah. Another thing too, you mentioned that, right? Because like, and you think you see something like this for this year from the Texans, right? Okay, you have a coach like Brian Flores, right? He has coming into his first year with the Miami Dolphins. You're looking at this guy he can be the dude for real. This is a good hire. All right, you're not in a position to win. We know you're not going to win.
Yeah,
we know you're not going to win.
Correct.
You traded away all your assets. First of all, Joe Burrow wasn't Joe Burrow yet. So you don't know who you're tanking for. You're already probably tanking for like someone like Jake Fromm, who was quarterback one prior to the season. Or Tua, yeah. So you're tanking for one of these guys, right?
It was always tank for Tua.
Yeah, always tank for Tua, right? But, season went on, of course, you know what I'm saying? You get, regardless of the fact, right?
Yeah.
So you're set up to lose, right?
Which only happens to black coaches.
Well, only happens to, but it happens to other coaches as well. But yes, like we saw this year with Cully. Yeah, majority. Yeah. We saw with Cully this year. He was set up to lose.
Yes.
And
he still won 4 games.
He had Deshaun Watson, a team that had to sign a bunch of guys on veteran minimums.
Rex Burkhead, Mark Ingram.
I mean, that team was garbage.
Yeah.
but every Sunday they went out there and competed. Yes, some games they got blown out against the Bills early in the year, but they had some good teams. They beat the Chargers.
Yep.
One of the reasons, Tennessee. One of the main reasons why the Chargers didn't make it to the playoffs because they lost a conference game. They beat us twice.
Yep.
Beat our ass twice.
Twice, yes. And I was there in Houston too. So I'm the clown here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like it's just like they put out a respectable, well-coached 4-win team.
Correct.
Right?
Very well respected.
And you see guys like that, he gets fired, right? But guys like, what's the guy up in there in Detroit?
Dan Campbell.
And I'm not trying to point fingers at, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to blame the Lions for this, bro. Yeah. But you just see, like, he came into a terrible situation. He was not good this year. Yeah. But same thing, that team showed fight.
They were competitive every single week.
Every single week they came out, they beat the cart.
That was that Dolphins team in 2019 with Flores.
Bro, yes. Even though they won like 3 games, we all thought the Lions would be like winless this year.
Yeah. And their record does not indicate how much fire and competitive that Lions team fought for this year.
And Campbell ain't going nowhere.
No, Campbell's there to stay for a long time.
Now, of course, David Culley might not have been the guy to hire, but, I mean, do you think Josh McCown can do a better... Not Josh McDaniels. Josh McCown can do a better job than David Culley did? You know what I'm saying? David Culley made nothing out of something with Davis Mills.
Yeah.
Davis Mills looked like a...
third-round pick, 67 overall.
Their first draft pick in the 2021 draft... They got a quarterback in Davis Mills who no one thought would be the guy. They thought Tyrod Taylor would carry them out. He gets hurt.
One of the best quarterback rookie seasons this year.
Yes, and you have, as of right now, a potential franchise guy, kind of like a Gardner Minshew type. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like, okay.
Give him another year and see what he's got.
And if he's bad, then okay. But why not let David Culley go through that experience, right?
Exactly.
I don't get it.
You're already on a bad team.
Yes.
But more times than not, a black coach getting put into a situation is expected to fail, expected to be put into a situation where he can't be successful.
Bro, if anybody has the track record that Brian Flores has, man, they'll call him like one of the next great head coaches in the NFL.
Exactly.
Dog.